Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is a new edition of Show Pony's Wildfire on a Tuesday. Good to have you today. Yes, I am wearing an Eras Tour Taylor Swift t-shirt. Thank you very much. I am Chris Childers. Follow me on all the social medias at Show Pony Media or on Twitter and Instagram at Childers Radio. And remember, subscribe to showponymedia.com. There are things that I cannot do on SiriusXM. There's inside stories in behind the scenes you will not get anywhere else. We did a great inside look into Full Ride the other day with Allie Gearing. So make sure you go showponymedia.com, subscribe for all the behind the scenes stuff. We are gearing things up. I'm working my ass off, literally just putting together content every single day to give you more of an inside look to college sports and my life and radio and SiriusXM and the show and Full Ride and all that stuff. So I got a nose itch today. Damn allergies are the worst, but great to have you here on the program today. If you listen to Full Ride, and I encourage everybody to check us out 9 o'clock until noon on SiriusXM channel 84. But if you listen to Full Ride, you heard today that we started the show talking about Todd Golden, the Florida basketball coach. And I thought it was interesting because we're talking about Todd Golden and Yahoo Sports. So I woke up to this. Yahoo Sports, I saw this morning. They said that Todd Golden right now could be the top candidate to get the Golden State Warriors job. Now, the Warriors job isn't open. They just played a game. They were in the NBA play-in tournament, and they played on Friday, I want to say, against the Phoenix Suns. So it just ended. But if you watch that game, and I did because I was working for Mad Dog Radio on Saturday, so we were recapping that and talking about it. And quite honestly, on Mad Dog on Saturday, on my College Sports Saturday show, listen to that, by the way. It's usually at noon every Saturday. Sometimes we kind of bop around because of the NBA playoffs and the game times and college football and all that, but usually around noon. But check me out on Saturdays. But this past weekend, the whole conversation was about Steve Kerr. And if you watch the end of the Warriors and Phoenix Suns game, he takes Draymond Green and he takes Steph Curry out of the game early so he could have his moment. So it seemed very ceremonial. It seemed like this was, I know that this is the end. I'm not coming back. I see the writing on the wall. The organization's ready to move on. They got different plans and I'm not part of it. So I'm going to take a moment to bring out my stars that I won 4 titles with over the years and say thank you. And that's what he did. So those guys come out at the end of the game. There's a press conference. Kerr essentially paints the picture like it's probably the end. He doesn't say as much, but he was very complimentary of the organization. He said he understands these jobs don't last forever. All these different things he laid on the table. With that said, Draymond Green recently said he thinks it feels like the end. Everything, Steph Curry talked that way. I mean, and Steve Kerr doesn't have any more years on his contract. So it feels like the Warriors' job could come open. It's very likely at this point to come open. Well, according to Yahoo and according to reports, Todd Golden, the Florida Gator coach who won the national title last season, Michigan won it this past year, but the Florida Gators won it the year before. And Florida had an incredible run this year. They were top team in the SEC at the end of the season. They got beat in the second round of the NCAA tournament, but Todd Golden's proven he's elite. And he's an analytics guy. Rick and I had him on Full Ride, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And we talked when he was at San Francisco. He was the coach of the Dons in the West Coast Conference. And Todd Golden essentially was, talking about how he puts together a team like a puzzle, and it's analytics. It's like Billy Bean. It's Moneyball, which that's how this is done nowadays. In the NBA, I mean, you're looking to put together a puzzle. You're looking to fit together the best pieces to have success. And for years, Golden State had that with Klay Thompson and Seth Curry, the Steph Curry, the Splash Brothers, and Draymond, and they had a core that was responsible for 4 NBA titles, and Steve Kerr won 4 titles along the way. So everything was fantastic there. But now enter potentially Todd Golden. Todd Golden coached at San Francisco. Todd Golden fits the analytic form, the puzzle put together kind of guy, right? That's Todd Golden. He's only 40 years old. You could be trying to get the next Steve Kerr. You're moving on from Steve Kerr in a gracious way to get a guy you think could be the next Steve Kerr and try to run it back and have success all over again. So, Todd Golden, there is a chance the Florida Gator job could come open. And not an ideal time because the transfer portal and all that opened up not long ago. And, this is not the time you want to be having a coaching search. But did you happen to see? We were on with Andy Staples today. And Andy lives in Gainesville. And during the middle of that interview, the news breaks Billy Donovan steps away with the Chicago Bulls. Now, Billy Donovan's only 60. Billy Donovan could very well want to coach again some other organization in the NBA. He was with the Bulls. The Bulls are a stale organization. The Bulls kind of hover around mediocre, hover around the play-in game. They're not a good team. They got an ownership group led by Jerry Reinsdorf in his 80s that has let that thing kind of remain stale. They've certainly had some bad injury breaks over the years, going back to Derrick Rose, and it's kind of continued on. Stupid damn allergies, itchy nose. I can't be the only one this time of the year. It drives me insane. And the eyes, too. The robbing of the eye. And I take the Allegra. I even get allergy shots. I get them like once a month, twice, one in one arm, one in the other arm. Still, you get me out there on the pollen, forget about it. It's awful. So I'm going to be rubbing my nose today and my eyeballs. I apologize. At least I got an Eras Tour shirt on. So it probably makes me, double douche, but here we go. But I thought, Billy Donovan, he could slide right back into his old gig. That guy is Florida basketball. He made Florida basketball. He won 2 national titles back to back with the Florida Gators. He is the king. He is beloved in Gainesville. And could you imagine if that job comes open and he goes to Golden State? And Billy Donovan very well could be the coach of Golden State, by the way. Mind you. But wouldn't that be unfreaking believable if that's how that goes down and Billy Donovan gets the Florida job again? Because it was just a month ago or less than that, we were talking about Billy Donovan as like the lead candidate to get the North Carolina job, and they ended up with Mike Malone, the former Nuggets coach. But we were talking about Donovan as coming back to college. So there must have been something to that. There must have been some sort of interest. And to hell with Carolina, if you can go back to the place that you're a god, statues and plaques and all kinds of reverence for the man, go to Florida. Donovan's a cool cat, by the way. That guy, you would never know it. He is one of the biggest Deadheads, Grateful Dead fans on the planet. Swear to God. We've had whole conversations about it. He's told me about like sneaking into concerts and traveling on the road. Like, I swear to you, Billy Donovan's a Deadhead. It's wild, but it's true. College football world today. We had Urban Meyer on Full Ride. It's always fun having Urban on. I feel like we've had him on a lot lately. And Urban's been great, and he likes Rick, and they're friends, and that's always really cool. If you missed the interview, I really suggest you go on the SiriusXM app and go listen to the entire thing because it was fascinating. And the most fascinating thing that he talked about, it's 2026, but when he took over the Ohio State job, it was 2012. Rick asked Urban a question about the rise of the Big Ten. Because when Urban got the Ohio State job in 2012, he said pretty clearly today on the show, I want to play this for you, that the Big Ten today, not even close to what it was when he entered the league. Take a listen.
In 2012, it wasn't even close. When I went from Florida and took a year off and then I went to Ohio State, I mean, even Shelley, my wife's like, this is the slowest football I've ever seen. And the stadiums were not hard to play in. You had great players, but not a lot like you had in the SEC.
And honestly, that was just the truth of the matter. The Big Ten stunk. It was a slow league. There was talent, but not enough of it to be competitive with the SEC. The SEC was winning everything. Remember the days of SEC fatigue? Remember Alabama fatigue? Alabama was just kicking everybody's ass. It wasn't even competitive. Even in the big bad SEC, there was a year margin of victory was 24 points or more in every game. They were head and shoulders above everybody else. But the Big Ten teams, maybe Ohio State was kind of close, but Michigan was in the abyss. Penn State was not even in the same conversation. Like Michigan State with Mark D'Antonio was good, but certainly not SEC good. The SEC had mastered the old system. In the old system where the money got so big, in 1984, when you had that Supreme Court ruling that allowed the NCAA to enforce amateurism in any way they wanted to. The SEC is the most popular region in the country. They don't have all the pro sports. They were making money hand over fist because the interest level is enormous in the southeastern part of the country compared to the Midwest and the West Coast and other parts of the country. And so they were just kind of crushing it. They had all the resources, the bells, the whistles, the nicest facilities, everything for the student athletes. And that's where the student athletes went. It didn't matter if they were from LA, Hawaii, the North Pole. It did not freaking matter. That's where they were going, was to the SEC. And you saw Georgia and LSU and Florida and all these teams win championships. Auburn, Cam Newton won a championship. The SEC became college football. And I think it impacted college football nationally. I think it impacted the entire perception of it. It was becoming a regional sport. It felt like lacrosse. Lacrosse in the Northeast, so regionalized. College football was becoming a Southeastern dominated sport until June 21st, 2021. That's when the Alston case happened. That's when NIL and collectives became okay. And that's when the billionaires in the Big Ten said, okay, let's play ball. But if you've noticed over the last 3 years, the power tide has changed. The Big Ten just won the women's basketball title, Corey Close. They won the men's basketball championship, Michigan and Dusty May. UCLA was the women's champion. They've won 3 consecutive football championships with Ohio State, Michigan, and Indiana. They won the wrestling championship. They've won all kinds of stuff. They have supplanted the SEC as king. And for years, the SEC was just fat and happy, and they felt so good about their place in the world. I had arguments with guys like Jared Stillman from Mad Dog Radio, who's a buddy of mine in Nashville. We had a show back at CMA Festival in June. It was on site at the fanfare, and we're talking, and he's saying, oh, the SEC is still king, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nonsense, it's not, and you'll see. And he even, jokingly apologized to me the other day when I saw him at the Morgan Wallen concert that we had for Sirius XM for his new channel. What is it? I think 56 or 156, something like that. But I'll tell you what, man, it's the truth. And what's amazing, there is a real rivalry with the Big Ten and the SEC. And I guarantee you, the loss of power, the loss of dominance is driving Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, nuts. Promise you. And his presidents are probably pissed about it. Now, there's nothing he can do. The alumni of the Big Ten are well-heeled. They're wealthier. They got better resources. But Urban Meyer had this to say about the rivalry between the Big Ten and the SEC on Full Ride on Sirius XM today.
It is a rivalry, and coaches get pissed when they talk about it. The SEC dominated for so long. Now that domination's over. But, it remains to be seen. There was a time, Rick, where the SEC, I don't know the number, but it was almost double the NFL draft picks of the other conferences.
There's absolutely no doubt, too. It is a real rivalry. It's a real rivalry. It matters geographically. I grew up in Chicago. I live in Nashville. I've experienced both communities firsthand. I grew up going to Northwestern games, and now I live 1.5 miles from Vanderbilt, or 3 miles, something like that. Not far, okay? So here's the thing. I get it. I've seen it, and the Big Ten has changed its fortunes, and I guarantee you the office in Birmingham hates it, but I know the fans of the Southeast hate it, and it's confusing them. They just don't understand it. I'll have more on this. Go to my Substack, showponymedia.com. Subscribe for opinions and information and just all kinds of hot takes that you just can't get. You can't get it on Full Ride. You can't get anywhere else. It's going to be uncensored and untamed, showponymedia.com. We did get a couple of signups for my class that I'm doing for radio and podcasters and sports media. Here's the thing. If you're doing a podcast and you have no idea what you're doing, if you're a sports radio hopeful and you're just like, I don't know how to be good. How do I make people listen to me? I am here to help you. I have a 4-week class. It's pretty damn inexpensive. Showponymedia.com. In fact, I'm going to put the link in the bottom of the YouTube. Really easy. Click on it, sign up, and I'll send you a quick response. You'll get all the information. We're going to start May 6th, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. But just go check it out. I'm going to help you actually get good at this because there is a certain skill set you just kind of have to have, and then it becomes natural. So showponymedia.com, or if you just want to go click on that, Show Pony University, and the top of that's got all the information for the class coming up. Really easy to do. So I wanted to talk about something interesting. And again, I'm going to have more on the Urban Meyer thing on showponymedia.com later today. But there's the playoff meeting going on right now. And Heather Dinich was on our show yesterday. She's covering it for ESPN. She was on Full Ride with me and Rick on Sirius XM, Channel 84 from 9 to noon. Make sure you check it out. And she said we're as close as we've ever been to getting real help with college sports. And she mentioned the White House, and she was there for that meeting. Speaking of Urban Meyer was at that White House meeting that they had with all the college leaders and the politicians to try to figure out what to do with college athletics. And everybody agrees it's broken. Everybody agrees the pay for play and the tampering and the amount of years every kid wants to try to attempt to get an eligibility because you can make more money playing college ball than you can in some cases. Like Riley Leonard just said, the former Notre Dame quarterback who plays for the Colts, he said, I made more money at Notre Dame. So this is a completely different world that we're in right now. It is a completely different reality that we're in right now, quite frankly. And kids just want to play college football because it's extremely lucrative. So that's what's going on. In the meantime, you have a group of leaders in college sports. You have a president that has said he wants to help. All these people behind the scenes are trying to weigh in. I think it's interesting, though. I think the timing is of essence. Rick and I talked about this today on Full Ride, and I'm curious what you think about it if you want to comment in the comment section below, because is there enough time? The midterm elections are not far away in November. And that factors into A, how big of a priority this is right now for politicians. But B, how is Congress going to look in November? I have a sneaky suspicion there's going to be a pretty big blue wave that comes over Congress. There's going to be some sort of balancing out of what we're seeing. Whether you like that or not, I just think that's likely what's going to happen. Might not. But if it does, what does that do to the president's ability to help college sports? I think this is fascinating. You got to look at the calendar here. And Rick seems to think it's heavily nonpartisan. And yeah, it should be. We're all college sports fans, Democrats, Republicans, independents, left, right, it doesn't matter. But that's not how it works. And this is team sports, and they add stuff called pork barrel legislation to things to, kind of pad their constituency, and all kinds of things can happen when leadership changes. So right now we have the Tommy Tubervilles and all that. And I think most college sports leaders, if we're honest, are conservative. We've seen Nick Saban and Greg Sankey golfing with President Trump. I mean, we've seen a lot of the leaders kind of tip their hand, whether they are or not, on where they lean. So with that said, and we saw all the people at the meeting at the White House, the Marco Rubios, the Linda McMahons, which again, who cares who's leading it as long as we fix the problem? I don't care. Just get the problem fixed. But the question is right now, do we have enough time with the midterms looming? And does it factor in to how much the president can or can't do? And I don't really know the answer to that, but I think it's something to keep an eye on. As you see all this play out, and as you see the White House and some little murmurs from Congress. And the reason I bring it up is because Heather was literally on full ride telling us they're getting closer to getting some real help from Washington. So I think it's got to be probably sooner than later if we're just being realistic here, if we're just being honest. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, and again, showponymedia.com, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe on YouTube, all that stuff. Go to the website. If you want to email me, showponysportsmedia.com, or no, excuse me, showponysportsmedia@gmail.com, showponysportsmedia@gmail.com. If you want a speaking situation, or if you have a speaking engagement, I do touchdown clubs. I've done a bunch of red elephant clubs this season. Not too far down the road. I can do all of that stuff. I've been told I am highly entertaining. So email me if you want to link up. Show Pony Sports. What is it? Show Pony Sports Media. That's it. I'm such a dunderhead. Show Pony Sports Media at gmail.com. So I thought this was interesting. John Lynch today, the NFL big timer, the general manager, John Lynch, was asked about AI. And AI is everywhere. It's all anybody's talking about. I mentioned how I was at the Alabama Board of Visitors recently, and it's all that anybody had on their lips. It was AI. How does it impact the workforce? How is it going to replace jobs? How does it impact people's ability to write and organize and all this stuff? And now it's made its way into the NFL. In fact, take a listen to what John Lynch had to say from the 49ers press facility.
A lot. I think just like the rest of the world, I think, if you aren't using it, you're already behind. And the cool thing is, what we found, you don't need to be an expert. Just like you at home planning a travel itinerary, you can just ask the thing and it can spit out some pretty good things.
All right, so that audio video courtesy of the San Francisco 49ers, but isn't that wild? Like, he's using it like I do. If I'm, stuck on an idea or something and I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me, who won the Super Bowl in 1973 or, whatever it is? And ChatGPT has become my friend. It is one of those things, if you just look at it as a personal assistant, it can be fantastic. It can help you edit. It can help you come up with ideas. It can help you organize. For example, to do this podcast, I've been doing sports talk radio for 20 years. I've never done a podcast. I'm not a digital guy. How did I learn how to do this? I've had a lot of people say, what did you do? What did you do? ChatGPT, step by step. And if you have a radio background, I think you probably understand it a little better, maybe get it a little quicker. But ChatGPT, all kinds of stuff. I could ask, about the history of Alabama football and have it organize it into eras. And then use that as, okay, this is what I know, little bullet points, and use it to, start a big article. I love it. Where I think it could get you into trouble, and I'm curious how this impacts the NFL. Because John Lynch, great tool, but I could see the older generation, like my dad, I think, could use it improperly. I could just see, like, a John Lynch perhaps using it improperly. You need to understand, ChatGPT is not God. ChatGPT does not know everything, and a lot of times ChatGPT and AI and Microsoft and all the ones, they screw stuff up. There will be times I get bad information from ChatGPT, and I know it's bad information, and I tell him that it's bad information, and it apologizes and then gives me the right information. I'll ask, what's going on with the New York Knicks when I'm doing Mad Dog Sports Radio. Like, tell me the latest on the Knicks that I need to know. And it'll give me, like, the recap from last year. And it'll mention Tom Thibodeau still the coach. And I'll be like, no, it's April whatever, 2026. Oh, sorry, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't check that, how many people are just running with what it says? He could be doing stuff for the NFL and putting in all this information and getting all this stuff, and it could be bogus. Now, it can also do a lot of good things. It can help you organize. That, to me, is the greatest thing it can do. And it can really kind of, instead of having to just track down information, In the past, if you were looking for records, if you were a sports media person, you were searching for records, or if you were searching for whatever, a quote, it would take you a while. You'd have to go into a database or a Google search, whatever. Now you just ask ChatGPT, where is this located? And it's going to show me the article, and I'm going to go find it. It's just like it's a super shortcut. Like I said, it can be used as the greatest, fastest personal assistant in the world, but it's not God. It can make mistakes. And I'm really curious how conscious the NFL agents are when they use it. If they're using it like anybody else for travel planner, because here's what John Lynch lost me with when he said the travel planner. I would never use it for travel planning. I've tried. It gives you a lot of crap. It gives you a lot of nonsense. And in my opinion, it's not all that efficient. I plan my own travel. That's one of my great skills. I am the person. And I bitch about it, and I hem and haw, and I'm like, oh, nobody helps me. Nobody. But honest to God, the vacation will not be good if I don't book it. Everything I do, we're going to be on time. We're going to have great stuff to do. We're going to have the best restaurants to go to. If you go on vacation with me, you will come back saying that was off the charts. Because I meticulously made sure that it was. But I didn't make it like one of those things like Danny Tanner on Full House where every single thing was down to itinerary. I let you make it feel like it's natural and we're just kind of having a good day. But everything has been meticulously planned. 1,000%. And in AI, I feel like sometimes you're just like, well, do this and do that. And you're missing a lot of shit. And I think with the NFL, it might help you get certain information, but you might miss a lot of information or some key nuance. And I think the people that can use AI and to say it's a tool, it can help me work faster, but nothing replaces the old noggin because I'm going to be able to see things and pick up on patterns that maybe the algorithm hasn't been trained to do yet. So very interesting what John Lynch said. And like he said, it's not going away. How much more of this are we going to see in the future? How much more AI and what does that look like 20, 30, 40 years from now? How does it impact rosters? What is technology? How does technology impact college football, pro football in 50 years? Who knows? But I thought that was interesting. And how much are we seeing it now in college football? And what are the prompts you're asking? Go find me a good left tackle that's a hidden gem in Pig's Knuckle, Arkansas. Who the hell knows how they're directing it? But like John Lynch said with the San Francisco 49ers, they got a staff that's like out in the forefront. And remember, they're San Francisco. They're close to Silicon Valley. They probably got all access to all kinds of dudes that are good at that stuff. So there's no reason why the 49ers shouldn't be a step above everybody when it comes to tech and AI. Honestly. All right. That's the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe, showponymedia.com. More behind the scenes. We're going to have more on Urban Meyer and the SEC and the Big Ten rivalry. All of that. Check it out today, showponymedia.com. We'll see you next time on Show Ponies Wildfire.